I'd like to thank the gentleman for his fine speech. I call upon the member for the government to continue the case.
Ladies and gentlemen, second proposition is going to bring you three basic ideas today. First of all, we're going to show you why nature is not inherently good, and we think that this has been an assumption running along the whole side of opposition. Second of all, we're going to talk a little bit more about equality, and we're actually going to show why this proposition promotes equality rather than leaves it behind as in the status quo. And thirdly, we're going to talk a little bit about social mobility, and I'm actually going to show you how through this proposition, we're going to allow people to advance the social ladder and actually make it on their own precisely because they're able to have, higher intelligence or whatever. But first, let's take a look at some rebuttal, because the few ideas coming out of first opposition were, first of all, we're against making superhumans because, they're so smart and run so fast and all that kind of stuff. And we say, why? What's wrong with superhumans? We say, if we want a good society, how about having a lot of smart people? We think that this is excellent for society because it promotes productivity, and we think that this is excellent. This has been an assumption on your side. You never actually explained why superhumans are bad. And then he said, but look, this is going to cause a small elite with children who are genetically enhanced. I'm going to deal more with that in my point. But it's interesting that the opposition accepts that it's okay to belong to a rich family and inherit all the money, when you have absolutely no attributes which can justify you belonging to that family, but not to be super intelligent. That's not okay. We say, why not have rich people that are super intelligent and can justify their social status? We think that this makes absolutely more sense. Because if they're more smart, at least now they can be a lot more productive, and they're prone to be more, generous and all that kind of stuff. And we think that this is actually very, very good. And then on the point of unexpected risks, he's saying we're willing. He said we don't know all the risks that this can have, and we say that's true. We don't, and we actually are willing to accept that this has risks. Just like any other development of any other drug that can benefit people in the future, we think that this is what science is all about. No. And then on the last point of creation of another class, and we say that society already has an upper class, and we say that people are born into these classes already, and this is far more arbitrary than having people, move into these upper classes on the advice of their own merits, and we think that this is absolutely beneficial. So, going on to my first point of why nature is not inherently good. We say it's quite reactionary to claim that what is natural is good, and this has been an assumption running along the opposition. We say that this may have been the view of Christianity, 1,000 years ago or whatever, but today we obviously accept that intervention in nature, when nature proves to be detrimental to our lives, is a good thing. For example, reproductive technologies, in which people who cannot have children are now assisted to have children, so that they may also be able to reproduce and fulfill a meaningful life. And none of us is going to say that these people don't deserve to have children just because nature gave them the shorter end of the stick. And also we say that whenever we develop any other form of medicine, we intervene in nature, because nature wanted me to have cancer, but if we develop a medicine against cancer, then we're interfering in nature, and we think that this is a good thing. So nature is not inherently good. What we all ultimately believe is in having a good life. And if nature is a hindrance to realizing that ideal, we should overcome it, because nature is not inherently good. Go.
So what do you think will happen to all the normal children who will now have an inferiority complex based on objective truth? Will they be motivated to be as successful as everyone? Will they be appreciated?
First of all, you have like 3 billion assumptions in the word normal there, but let's just assume that, assume your definition. We say that, children will be able to basically have access to these, or parents will have access to these technologies and can make, for better children. We see no problem with that. I don't see why you keep wanting a world with children who are dumb, stupid, and ugly. I'm sorry, it's dumb. So, on to my second point of equality. We say that this proposition promotes equality by leveling the playing field in society. We think that this is very important. Now, what do we mean by equality, ladies and gentlemen? What we mean is the opportunity to live a meaningful life and have a happy life. And we say that people are born with, the obesity gene, or even people who are born severely ugly face concrete and severe disadvantages throughout their lives. It's very hard for them to get a good job. It's very hard for them to find a partner in life. And we think that these kind of inherent disadvantages that people are born with not only are completely arbitrary and unchosen, but they're extremely unfair. Why is this unfair, ladies and gentlemen? Because we think that it's unfair that you have a hindrance to self-fulfillment that you did not choose. What we are trying to promote on this side of the house is maximum choice. We think that the life you lead, the life you ultimately may be able to enjoy should be a product of your choice, and not be an arbitrary product of what nature does or does not give you. We think that this is good because it promotes equality, because it allows for people who know that their children might have some severe disadvantage, to allow those children to overcome that disadvantage before they're born. Now, why does this lead to greater social mobility? And we think that this logically, is a logical extension from the previous 2 points. Because basically this technology will allow for greater social mobility. The opposition has been assuming that only rich people will have access to this technology, and we say why? Just like any other medicine that has been developed, and at first cost a lot of money, eventually it reached the market, and a lot of people were able to use it. And we think that this is extremely important, because the prices of medicine go drastically down, and furthermore, we also say that the state can subsidize these kind of technologies for the use of middle class and poor families. We see absolutely no problem with this. In fact, we're completely in support of it. But we say that these technologies can be easily made accessible to these classes by lowering costs and subsidies, and therefore, these people can actually use them to be able to promote their own social mobility. Now, why is this so? Because if you belong to a middle-class family, or you belong even to a poor family, no, thank you, I'm sorry. If you even belong to a poor family, you're going to have a child. You know that this child means a lot to you. So yes, you're going to do everything in your power to be able to make sure that this child has a good life. And if that means, spending a little bit more money so that this child has superior intelligence, then great. And we say that when this child is born, he or she will be able to make it on their own merit and be able to advance the social scale through getting good jobs, through using their intellect, and not because they were arbitrarily born into a rich family. And we think that this is immensely important, because not only are we allowing for greater social mobility, but we're allowing for better social mobility which is based on merit and not based on arbitrary criteria like what kind of family we're born into. So we think that for these 2 points, this point is crucial to our case. So what have we brought you on our side, ladies and gentlemen? First of all, we brought you the idea that nature is not inherently good, and that we already interfere with it, and that all of us interfere with it all the time we think that it's good. Second of all, we brought you the idea of equality, and we showed you why we're leveling the playing field in society by allowing people to be born without severe and inherent disadvantages. And thirdly, we showed why this allows for greater social mobility, and for all those reasons, we proudly propose